This video will discuss the gradebook and how to navigate it in your MyMathLab course. So we get into our course. To find the gradebook, you need to locate course tools. In this course, I have placed course tools at the top. In your course, you might see the course tools menu at the bottom. For example, in this course tools is located at the very bottom. If you would like to move that tab up, you would click on Manage Courses. And here on the right side, you can see all our menus. Since I use course tools a lot, I'm going to make it my number 2. And it's going to move up to the top of the menu. So if you notice, now I have it up here. If I click on it to go to the gradebook, we select gradebook. The first thing you want to do is manage your gradebook weights. So click on change weights. My homework for my classes is worth 100 points. The quizzes are worth 100. And since I have 5 exams, they're each 100. You can add other categories by clicking on Add Categories. So maybe you give projects in your class. So we can insert a category. And so you'll see the projects here. If you don't want it, just click on Delete. We can click on Edit Offline Items and add categories. And so for my class, the total amount of points it can earn is 700. And if we scroll down, you can see each of these homeworks that I have here and quizzes. It tells you that it's assigned. And it tells me that this assignment is 10 points and it's 2% of the overall grade. You can make that a difference. Maybe you feel this is a very important assignment. You can make it worth more by simply clicking the weight. And so now you can see it's worth 4.8% of the overall grade. Or maybe you just want to have it as extra credit or practice assignment. You will click on Omit if you don't want this grade to be calculated into your overall grade. Once you're finished, you just press on Save. And so our gradebook is going to be set. And so now if we want to add an item, we can click Offline Items, Add Items. You want to do this if you have grades, for example, that you gave in your class. Maybe the students took exam 1. So we would add an offline items. Make sure you select which category you want it to be in. So I want this to be a test. And my test was worth 100 points. And so I click Next. Once this screen comes up, you can upload a grade sheet by clicking here. Or I find it to be easiest, all your students will be listed here. And you'll be able to click and submit their score. So under Yvette Chuka, I can just click under score and it's going to let you put your score in here. Since I'm not a student, I'm not allowed to put a score for myself. But once you see your students listed, you should be able to click and add your score. So you press Save. And now that's going to be part of your gradebook. And the way your students will see this is on their list of assignments. If I scroll down, you can see I just added this exam 1, and it will show them the score. And so that's the same way that you would add a homework. So click offline items, add items, and now we would name this homework, and you can add your homework that you gave in class. The other tools that you have available here is under more tools. You can do any of these here. Sometimes when a student takes a test, they will be locked out, so you would have to enable access here. Maybe you want to import some of their grades if they took your class previously. And one of the great things here is search email by criteria. Since I don't have, since this is a coordinator course, I can't do that. Let me go into a member course. Let me go to another course really quick. And let me go to the Gradebook. So if I click on more tools, search email by criteria, I can find students based on these categories. So maybe I want to see how this student is doing on their assignments. I can click on a range, or I can choose a specific assignment. So maybe I want to see how they did on this chapter 1 skills check, and I can click on search, and then it's going to list all your students that match that criteria. And the best thing is that it's going to allow you to send an email by clicking send email. And then you can tell your students to work on a certain assignment or any information you want to give them. Let me go back here and try to add another category. Okay. So that's how you would find a student who needs help. The other thing is we have something called student tags. And what this is maybe you have students who are with CSD and need extra time on exams. You can select your students, they'll be listed here, and you can add a tag by clicking on this, and we can call it CSD extra time on tests. Click on save, and so from now on you'll have this tag. You can add a student in there, so I'm going to add myself, and I'm going to press save, and I'm going to press done. So when you're creating an exam, you can click on your tagged students to give them that extra time that they need. The next thing that you can do is you can click on performance analytics, and you can get more data on how your students are doing. So for example here, you can click on assignments, and it's going to list the average time, the average score. You can click on students, and your students will be here. You can see what their overall score is. You can select students, send them an email from here. At the end of the semester, we have to export our data, in other words, our grades. So you can click on export data. Click on what do you want to download to an Excel file. I usually do homework first, and I choose the homeworks that are going to be counted for a grade. So maybe I have a few here I don't want to include. And you can export as percentage, and you can select any of these options. So click on export data. And so what this does, it creates a Excel file, and it's going to have your students listed in here with their grades. Since I don't have any students, it makes it a little bit harder to show you the example. So then I go ahead and I go back and I want to select my exams. So again, I choose the exams that I have, and I click on export data. And so I combine the new Excel file with the homework one. So basically I put them all in one homework. And then the last thing I get is my quizzes. And so that is how you can download it to your Excel files really quick. Let's say that you have students who didn't complete an assignment. You can manage incompletes. So after the deadline, you can say for students who started working on something, submit their current scores. And I'm going to submit zeros for students who have not started. And so if you click on this section, it would break down how many students would be listed here that didn't complete this. You can select them, and when you click submit, it's going to automatically enter a 0 in the grades for not doing the assignment. And last, to look at your roster, you just click on under rosters to get there. You go to course tools, and you should be able to see your roster. Or you can see your roster through the Gradebook as well. Basically, all your students will be listed here as well, class roster. And that is a very basic of entering grades into your Gradebook, changing the weights, and adding your old grades from your lecture class into the system so that your students have an overall grade, including those that they did in class.